Hello, and here we are for episode 3 of the Rope to Rope podcast. We're back. We were away last week, but we've got a bumper show for you. And the reason it's a bumper show because we don't have a fucking clue what guests are coming on the show. Is that right, Jay? So you've got just Dave as always. How are you doing?
Not too bad. It's only taken you 7 attempts to do the intro.
Brilliant. And I've got outtakes to prove it. So it's been a busy week for wrestling. I know you stayed up because I'm old as fuck and watched it next day, but you stayed up to watch Backlash, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed with the whole thing. I don't know what your opinion was.
Some of it was quite good. There was a couple of good matches. I think with the main event match, I think they went wrong with the crowd noises, and I think they went about it the wrong way because I think they assumed it was meant to be the greatest match ever, so it was meant to be the greatest match ever, but instead they kind of brought in all of the greatest wrestlers of all time, special moves or finishing moves kind of thing. So I think they could have done it a lot better than what they did, but yeah, it wasn't overly a great pay-per-view. What about yourself?
I just thought it was lame. I didn't like, there was not much I liked at all. There were certain moments. I thought Sheamus was decent with Jeff Hardy. I thought it was an okay match. Oh, we've got someone joining the call, and I actually don't know who it is, so I'm going to admit them to the call.
Okay.
Legit don't know.
Tell me when you see them, because I can't see anything.
It should be loading on the screen now.
I can hear something. I can't quite see.
There's a cup. And there's a red beard.
Where?
Where the hell?
Hello.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Your very good friend should be joining us in a moment, and he doesn't know that you're going to be on the call, so it's going to be a surprise for him.
Got about 20 minutes.
Amazing. He'll be on in a moment. How are you doing?
I'm good.
So I spoke to you on the show a week ago. So above you, you'll see he's called Just Dave, which is a nickname chosen by Ryan. Can you see 3 of us? 2 of us?
I just see you.
Oh, I think we need to scroll across a little bit. If you get.
Now I see all, yes.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. How are we doing?
I love how mine says McKinley. It's my daughter's name.
All right.
So yeah, I kind of didn't, when it came up, I thought, I think I've invited someone, I don't know who it was. And I said on the call, we've got someone random joining, and then we saw the famous beard. So how have you been keeping? Because it's been a couple of weeks since I spoke to you, and I know that since our interview, everyone's kind of been speaking about it now, and there's loads of news articles because people are interested in what's next for you. So has there been any developments going forward?
Oh, no. Not at all. That's slow.
Is that just, are you just saying that because we're not allowed to know?
Pretty much.
Would fans be very excited about what's next for you?
Thanks, man. Me too.
Yeah. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing what's next.
So who is David? Who is David? I've not been formally introduced to David.
So he's the one, Just Dave, he's called. So he's the guy, so not me, the other guy.
Co-host.
All right, so co-host.
Yeah.
Because Lewis has his full name, and you're just David's iPhone.
David's iPhone, yeah.
That's what I'm seeing under your name.
Yeah.
What was great about speaking to you the first time I had you on the show was I didn't know what to expect, and I actually did a Q&A myself last week, and somebody asked me, who have you interviewed that surprised you the most? And I actually said it was you, because I kind of didn't know how you would be, because I've never seen you talk that much when you wrestle. It's just you kind of did your wrestling, and that was it. And to get you on and see that different side was amazing. I know we've had so many comments from people kind of saying like, wow, he was completely different to what we expected, which is nice. So is it nice to kind of get the chance where you can almost be you?
Oh, I mean, come on, man. It's wrestling. Like, part of it's not being you. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, like, and if it was me, I wouldn't want to read Twitter comments from people thinking that it was you. People are horrible.
How are you feeling now that you've left the WWE? Are you feeling more free? Are you excited for what's next for yourself?
Oh, everybody's free because they're a machine. They own you, so it's good not to be owned.
Just messaged your friend to say that his surprise is on, because he's currently training with Eric, and they're meant to be finished now at the J Lethal School, because they're teasing us. They're not telling us what, but they've got something big planned, and they've changed their name on the show. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but Davyd actually chose their new name.
And what is it?
It's going to be The Awakening.
All right, good. I think I copyrighted that this morning. They can pay me. A lot of music.
Do you know, if you told Ryan that, he would believe it, and he would worry.
Oh yeah.
He would honestly would. If I told him now that you've had that name and you copyrighted it, he'd oh shit, I didn't realize.
We were like an old married couple on the road.
You should prank him when he comes on.
What was he like on the road? What was he like to travel with? Because you must spend a lot of time, probably more time with the guys you're traveling with than some of your family members at times.
So he might say I'm a strange dude, but he's a real strange dude.
In what way?
Huh? No, he just, you go to the gym with that guy, and he's just, all he cares about is those incline bench presses. They look up on top of incline and more than you. Very competitive. Very competitive.
He never says David's been on and he talks about you a lot, but they've never said you're strange. They always talk about you and they laugh as if there's a funny story that they're not telling us. They just every time they mention your name that they smile as if they're holding something back. So I don't know what it is, which I was hoping he'd be here by now and finish training to share with us.
I'm gonna have to leave pretty soon. You better hurry up.
If not, he's gonna be absolutely gutted he missed it. He really will.
So how often have you been training at the moment, or has it just been spending a lot of time with your family, kind of taking a bit of a rest, bit of a break?
No rest. You feel more motivated at the gym than you ever did, but you're sleeping in the same bed every night too, so that's a good thing. So you can get into habits and good habits, eating. A little plug for Trifecta Systems Nutrition.
Yeah. Nice to be spending time with the family.
Yeah, well, I'm currently away from them doing something, but yes, it's been very nice to be with the family.
Awesome. Do you watch much wrestling yourself? Because I speak to a lot of guys and they don't actually kind of every week sit down and watch a different promotion. So do you actually kind of watch it yourself?
Because I'm still under WWE contract, I still got the network. So I turned on Backlash for half comedic purposes and half serious purposes. I wanted to see what was going on. I lost interest in some stuff really quick and then went back and watched it. But
did you see the Street Profits? The Street Profits versus the War Raiders match?
Ivar is entertaining.
Did you? Oh, okay. we found it a bit too silly, I think, over here. We were a bit confused.
I'm hoping Tozawa's new giant ninja, I hope it's a thing, and he wrestles matches.
Yeah.
And he stays like that. That would be great.
I think he's one of the Performance Center guys. I think I saw it on something that they signed him a while ago. Oh no,
I know who the guy is. He's a big dude, but it'll be interesting to see if they leave him up to it. I think Monday they teased the match with him and Big Show.
Yeah, he was
which I would pay money to see.
Has he been wrestling for a while then? Do you know? Well, because we're not too sure about him.
I know when I had my last injury, when I tore my I torn my bicep tendon. When I tore that tendon and was coming back, because I tore that at SummerSlam when we were at the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah.
And then they made me work the next night.
Oh, wow.
Where we had to drop the belts. And I thought the match was going to be something really quick. We'd lose. But no, it was like a no disqualification match with the New Day. Just some crazy, match.
And they knew about your injury? And they knew about your injury as well?
Oh, yeah. That was me. Just, doing what a good guy's supposed to do,
Yeah,
Good employee. Loyal.
It's amazing that you get free network for being part of it. That's something I've never even kind of considered.
Well, now that I told you that, it's probably going to get canceled, so thanks for that.
Perks of the job.
But yeah, when I was coming back from injury for there, I saw this big, huge guy trying to run the ropes. So I think he was pretty much starting up when I had hurt myself. Was that 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he'll be there, because I mean, that was a good angle. But in general, I thought it was a disappointing pay-per-view. Just, it didn't feel exciting. I didn't like the fake crowd noise in the main event, and just a little bit underwhelming, I found.
What was underwhelming?
Backlash. I mean, we both kind of thought it was a little bit underwhelming for us. And I mean, there was a lot of rumors a couple of weeks ago that you were actually coming back with the Jeff Hardy storyline, when they hinted there was someone they had a ginger beard, and like Twitter just went nuts with your name, and everyone was kind of excited that it was going to be you, and then it was Sheamus.
There's only room for one ginger right now on the roster. I think Sami Zayn's taking some time off.
Did you see the main event with Orton versus Edge?
So I think I had to leave during that, but from what I've heard, it was a good match. Randy never disappoints. It's Edge, so.
Yeah, of course. You could put them two in the ring together. It's always going to be a very good match.
Oh yeah, greatest ever. I think that sucks to have that. I mean, that's probably the worst thing. I hate that. That's the greatest match ever. Okay. That's like having a stairs match.
Yeah, it was a very good match, but it definitely not the greatest ever kind of thing. So
yeah, not at all.
I think when they put on a very good match, but I think people expected even more. Than I think they were always going to expect even more, even if it was the greatest match ever. I think people would have expected and unexpected.
I'm sure it was probably like a very, very good match, and probably better than a lot of stuff you see nowadays anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It was I think the crowd noise was a bit silly. They kind of, you could see there's not very many people in there, and then they had kind of like a 60,000 people like crowd noise in the background, which was a bit bizarre to watch.
So where are the boys?
They're training with Jay Lethal, and they're meant to be finished by now, and he's due to come on, and he's taken a little bit of time with it. I've just prompted him saying your surprise is here, because they know there was a surprise, but they didn't know who it was. So
well, yeah. Connor's probably winded. He can't breathe. So he's probably trying to take a cold shower or something, so he doesn't appear all disheveled and out of shape. And you can tell him I said that.
I can't believe how white his teeth are.
What's that?
I can't believe how white his teeth are. When he smiled when I first interviewed him, I kind of had to step back for a bit. He's got the whitest teeth out of anybody I've interviewed.
We had to put sunglasses on.
I always thought they were veneers, but I don't think they are.
No, they're really
good. I think he has very good dental hygiene.
One thing I did want to very quickly speak to you about and just get your opinion and thoughts on is, it seems when Raw or SmackDown has a bit of a ratings dip, that they reach out to former talent to try and get the ratings up. For instance, we had Christian returned on Monday Night Raw and had a bit of a thing with Ric Flair and Randy Orton. What are your thoughts on that when they have to reach back out to get established names and bring them back? Are you all for that? Do you think that there is a lot of talent within the roster that they could use if they use them correctly?
I think people concentrate too much on ratings.
Yeah.
I really do. And like, if the show's still on the air, the ratings are good enough.
Yeah.
If they cancel the show, the ratings suck. So just leave it alone.
Yeah.
People need to stop worrying about that. Like, and then they always talk about talent being over, and I mean, but who's making the needle go up and down? Like, is there one person that really makes it go up? And if it is up, it's like a slight dip, and then the next week it might be down, and the next week it'll be like way up. So I don't know. I never like to concentrate on that stuff.
There's a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah. A lot of people over here are tending to watch NXT opposed to Raw and SmackDown at the moment, because they find it a more enjoyable, kind of believable product, I'd say, at the moment. I think with Raw and SmackDown, you can almost predict what's going to happen in the ending of the match, whereas NXT, it's a little bit more, you're not sure what's going to happen next kind of thing.
I don't know. I tried to switch to some wrestling yesterday and at the hotel, and I was going back and forth like between AEW and NXT, and like I didn't know what I was watching. I'm so out of it. I saw some woman named Abaddon.
Oh, okay. And that was on the
character on AEW.
Oh, of course.
And I'm like, okay, that's really cool, but I want to see where it goes. Like, she didn't kill the person. The person got up and walked away. It looked like she could kill somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Have you watched too much of AEW? What do you think of it as a fresh new product?
I mean, it's fresh. It has, you know, matchups, but with anything wrestling, like matchups are always going to get old with the fans. Fans nowadays, they tweet and complain about everything. So it won't surprise me when they tweet and complain that certain guys they think should be getting a look up there, they go up there, and then the same thing happens. Like, they can't push everybody.
Yeah,
and I think that's what the fans don't realize, that it's a show with many different moving parts that offer many different, you know, varieties of entertainment. And I think the fans need to realize that enjoy what you enjoy, because what you enjoy is not what somebody else enjoys. So, of
course,
AEW seems to be trying to go to a wider audience, I think.
Yeah,
of course. I think with a lot of people these days, I think opposed to enjoying the wrestling like myself and Lewis does, I think a lot of people tend to just critique it and they can't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
And they're experts on it. You know, everyone's an expert now. They talk about as if they know. I mean, I look at my Twitter, and every single person knows backstage, and they know the spoilers and everything that's going to happen. And it's just, you know, enjoy what you're watching. You don't need to know beforehand the show you're about to watch, because where's the fun in that? That's like watching a film, but reading the plot line and what happens before you go into the cinema to watch it.
It's funny. It's like you say, everyone's their own critic, and everyone's open to their opinion. But when fans try to like down wrestlers, saying that they're terrible, they're so bad. Well, have you wrestled? Do you have training? Like, how do you know they're bad?
Yeah.
How do you know they're not booked to do a certain thing, to showcase a certain moveset? Like, people get too hung up on that. I think I've seen it so many times where people, you know, crap on the way somebody works, and then they're booked a little different, and then they're like, oh, this guy's so good. Well, it's the same guy. Yeah. I don't think people understand that. Like, everyone's up there for a reason. They have a certain appeal, and they perform, you know, a certain way. Some people better at it than others, but everyone offers something unique. You know,
yeah, I think,
and I just wish that the fans would stop being so much critic. But then again, you know, the only thing I ever cared about in the business was the respect of my fellow workers. You know, if I have the respect of my workers and they want to work with me, that's all I wanted. I don't, you know, like you can care about having this big fan base, but you know, oh, you're gonna make all this money, you got those big fans, like. But if you're really a student of the craft and you want to perform at a high level, which is what most people want to do with professional wrestling because they love the business, then you go for that respect to your coworkers, you know?
Well, I know that you've got limited time because you're on a lunch break, and I know for a fact Ryan's going to be absolutely gutted when he finally comes on the call after doing his training session, being winded, that he's missed out, because he always talks about you, and they always say, "Oh, we would love it if he was on the show." And then we finally done it. I said to him, "I've got a big surprise," and
he's late calling you.
What message would you like to give him?
What time was he supposed to be on this call?
1:30, so 20 minutes ago. So
he's fashionably late. Now, this is the problem I had with him on the road. Like, man, if you're, you know, 5 minutes early, you're late. Like, hurry up, be on time, be punctual.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you try to meet downstairs at the hotel. Is he going to show up 20 minutes late? You know, then you're sitting in the car for 20 minutes waiting for him to get out of the hotel. I'm not saying that he did that with me, but come on, man, what's he doing with you guys? Be a man of your word.
He's a weekly host as well. He's on this every single week, but he seems to be really pumped for whatever he's got.
Like what? He's too busy training. Like I'm busy right now. I'm on my lunch break eating. I'm trying to close my mouth while I'm eating, but like, you know, I'm taking the time to talk with you guys. But I thought Ryan and
is your message to him to stop being late? Is your message to him to stop being late?
Yeah, be punctual, man. Like if I can make it here on my lunch break, you can make a lunch break. I mean,
absolutely.
You know, the ring ain't going anywhere.
He's going to be gutted because
I'm sure he's got a key to his school. Come on, man.
And the thing is, when you go, I guarantee 2 minutes later he'll just rock up and have no clue that we've had you on. He won't believe it until he watches back and sees that you've told him off.
You know what?
He'll think we're pranking him.
I'm going to randomly call in when I stop over at Ken Kennedy School in the middle of the ring. Well, I have a hold on, and I'm going to show the camera in my face as I have a headlock applied to me, and I'm going to say, I still made it.
When is this going to be?
Future time.
That would be brilliant. That will definitely teach him a lesson. But it's so nice to get you on because, like Davyd said to me before, he's in it, what's he like? And I said, he's just really cool, like a really cool guy. And when I done the interview, we put it online. Everyone was just like, he's so cool. I've had people email me wanting to know where they can send stuff for you, where they can pay you to sign stuff. I mean, people just love you and they love that you're out there.
Yeah, and people watching this, I'm not really this dirty. This is just makeup, so calm down. But tell him he missed out.
Well, thank you so much for taking
we can just blame Eric though, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. He's
so when Eric's on, say, Connor, he doesn't blame you. He knows it's Eric.
Is Eric the one?
Eric moves at his own pace.
Oh, okay.
He seems really punctual. Out of all the ones I've interviewed, he's kind of always been the one that's on time or the first on the call.
Until me.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Bang on time.
Yeah, give him the best, and I'll watch to hear him bury me.
Of course. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Well, that's a very good surprise.
Fantastic, Erick Redbeard.
Well, do you know, when I seen the name come up, I thought, who the fuck is McKinley? It's like,
but it's his daughter's name, so. But that's so cool. What a fantastic guest to have. First one, but Ryan's missed out. And it'll be the chance that he comes on in just a second now, won't he?
Yeah, goof. Like, you so stupid. Do you know that the best clip of the last podcast was I said it to you just because it made me laugh, was when you, for a small second to Darren Young, Fred Rossi, you did the bushwhacker thing and I edited it into that clip into the bushwhacker theme, and honestly I watch it every night before I go to bed.
So is there anything wrestling related you'd like to bring up for the time being?
Yeah, so well, you hit the nail on the head really with the main event, and the one thing that kind of took me with that is when you put pressure on something. So it was deemed the greatest match before it even happened, and I think to put that kind of pressure on the match was always going to make it underwhelming, because when you say, it's like when I say to you before, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever, and sometimes we've gone and done it, you're like, it was all right, but because I bigged it up a little bit too much, it's underwhelming when you look back.
Absolutely. I think especially with the stage being what it is, Backlash, one of their biggest pay-per-views, it's two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. To put that label on it, I didn't think was fair. I thought it was a very good match. But I think maybe as a fans, we kind of misunderstood it. But by best match ever, all we saw was like, it was a very good match, but it was best moves, like greatest wrestlers' moves of all time. So I thought that was a bit of a strange thing. It was good though, it was very enjoyable. But like Eric, obviously he enjoyed the tag team match. We can give our opinions on that now as well. I just thought it was a bit too silly.
It was shit.
I don't know what you think.
It was shit. Absolute shit. It was, honestly, I didn't find it remotely funny, and it was just, I like comedy, and I think when I like what Jericho does in AEW, I like what the Inner Circle do.
Yeah.
I think if you've got the ability to do that, but I think WWE are recycling everything that AEW are doing, be it the audience members at the moment, be it doing the comedy routines. I just think they're hearing it works, and be like, oh, let's take that. And it's just,
and they're not doing it correctly. It's almost like AEW are kind of their sense of humor is for everybody. So you see a little kid will sit down and see Jericho put that cone on his head and start doing this silly laugh, and they'll love it. We can sit down, we can watch that, and we'll really enjoy it. Whereas I think it's almost like cheesy Nickelodeon kind of sense of humor with the WWE and that match that they had. Because do you remember the green tail that came out? It was meant to be some sort of mythical monster when they fell into the skip.
Yeah, I do.
And then that green tail came out. It just thought it's just a bit silly now, isn't it?
I think why it didn't work is because they put too much production into it, whereas AEW was very organic. It happened. There was no amazing production that went into it, but WWE tried to almost take that idea, jazz it up a little bit, put it to us and say, we can do it better. And actually it failed. And I don't think I've seen a single comment where people actually enjoyed that match.
Like my brother Christian also pointed out, I like to say this because once you're pointing it out, it's kind of understandable. I think we've kind of, the way the world's going and things like this, I think to have Akira Tozawa, this is what my brother said, dressed up kind of thing as a like karate, kind of like ninja thing, it's almost playing to a stereotype at the same time and could be seen as racist, which is understandable because you're dressing a Japanese man up as this so-called like ninja and this, that, and I thought it was daft, very, very silly, but at the same time, it could also be misconstrued.
No, I agree with that. And I think WWE are guilty of doing that with a lot of things. And that's why when I had Fred Ross on my show, then we had him on the podcast. I kind of said to him before, did you ever feel like a poster boy? And what I meant by that is I feel like if you were to be a certain race, a certain sexuality, anything in WWE, I kind of feel like at times they might take that and maybe get a nice media coverage out of it, or maybe get a nice storyline to it. And I understand playing to your strengths sometimes, but I think there's got to be a time and a place.
I think it as well, if we're going to go on kind of playing to strengths and kind of, I think with the Jeff Hardy and Sheamus kind of angle they did, I thought, obviously, I assume with the rest of they agree to the angles, or they don't do them, or it's written and then they're given. We're not too sure, I guess. But I think to play on kind of him getting arrested for his alcohol problems and things like that, I think it's very, very insensitive. They did it years and years ago with, my dad pointed this out to me because I didn't remember it, with Hawk, one of the Road Warriors.
Yeah.
And they did the whole kind of alcohol angle with him at the same time, and he was an alcoholic, my dad told me. So I just think things like that kind of, I think personal life's best kept where it is kind of thing. But unless Jeff put it forward, unless it was kind of agreed to, then I think it seemed to be really, really insensitive.
The way I look at that is, I mean, Jeff was suspended numerous times for those from WWE. So how can you then say, actually, let's make light of it and make it into a storyline? We suspended you for for happening in real life. And
but it's also been on TV as well. It's commonly known. I'm not sure the name of the pay-per-view, maybe that's Slammiversary or Bound for Glory. But there was also the match versus Sting. And Bischoff and everybody had to come out and they had to kind of stop the match, and Sting had to physically hold him down while he was intoxicated. So I think it has unfortunately been brought into kind of his personal life and into wrestling, but I thought it was really, really unfair.
Did you, I mean, at the time as well, Matt Hardy actually tweeted, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but he actually sent a tweet, something to Tony Khan, kind of saying, look, thank you so much, I'm glad I worked for you. It just happened after the Jeff Hardy storyline, so I kind of think it was his way of saying, thank God I'm out of there. I think he watched that and it was hard not to be offended. And I wanted to ask you, actually, because you're really good at knowing stuff, well, I don't necessarily see. Formerly the Revival in WWE, as they were known.
FTR.
They sent that tweet out, and I sent it to you, and I don't know what they meant by it. It was something like, we seen it, it wasn't, I can't remember what it was, but I sent it to you, and I don't understand if it was aimed at Backlash.
What kind of time was this with this sent in? Because I'm not sure if I've seen this message.
Yeah, I can find it now. But
yes, of course.
It was so cryptic, and it was just one of those things that I just didn't understand. And and I was trying to work out what they meant because they tweeted it and everyone was tweeting them back saying, thank God you're out of there, you're so lucky you're away from it now, and all of that stuff. So I kind of assumed that it was something bad, and yeah, they knew.
This is the kind of thing with AEW. I think everybody's seeing it as their kind of a scapegoat in a way, which is kind of, they can go somewhere, they can almost have a freedom, and maybe like a creative freedom as well, because if you see, Matt Hardy was given he chose his gimmick in TNA, or Impact as it's known now, and now he's doing it again, the broken, all that kind of thing. And so I think for AEW, I think it's almost like grass is green on the other side, I think, if you're in WWE.
Can't find the tweet. And I was saying, we went through our Instagram conversation, we'd be here an hour trying to find it, but it was something really cryptic. But I think a lot of people that have either been released or they've left, I think they're taking a step back now, kind of being like, we're good that we're out there. And I'm not slating WWE. I like the product. I mean, me and you are going to For the Love of Wrestling. We're meeting Jeff Hardy. We're meeting Goldberg. We're meeting.
Yeah.
I love it, but I'm not liking as it is now. I'm not excited by it at all.
Yeah, I'll definitely be completely 100% honest. After Backlash, I'm probably not going to watch the product for a while now. I'm seeing clips, this, that, and the other, but only because that's for personal preference, and I don't like to see, in my opinion, where I think they're going. And it's almost like, with watching like certain silly moments that they've had, it's almost like watching early 2000s kind of WCW, and we all know how that ended up. So it's kind of it's almost sad to watch, and with a lot of people being there that aren't necessarily on TV, and that's the goal. Like they're wasting so many people, in my personal opinion. Like Ricochet is the perfect example, one of the biggest wrestlers of the Indies, and now I think they put him in a tag team with Cedric Alexander, so I'm told.
And someone else I think they wasted is Elias.
Yeah. It's like I said, there's many. You can't have everybody on TV, like Eric said a second ago. But I think it seems unfair to kind of just keep them there and not be on TV for a good few years if you're working your butt off, and you deserve to be on TV essentially.
Do you know? I mean, Erick Rowan, Eric Redbeard. He's only done my interview since he's been released in regards to a video interview, and he doesn't do podcasts. So the fact we've got him on, I think that's huge, because he doesn't do them. If you type in on YouTube Erick Rowan interview, or you won't find any. You'll find mine, and that's literally it. And now we've got this.
Man, what a funny man as well.
Exactly. So what were you? Because you said to me, "Oh, what was he like?" Now you spoke to him. What's your opinion? Because I think he's quite dry and funny.
Yeah, at first a bit scary, almost like when we met Rhino.
Oh, wait there. Can you please, just so I can send him this clip, because I've spoken to openly with everyone, but let's hear it from just Dave. Talk us through the day that we both interviewed Rhino face to face, and your recollection of what happened.
What was the year? 2016?
16, I think it was. Yeah, in Falmouth.
Yeah. So 2016, we were about to interview Rhino, Terence Guerin. And so we walk in, and he's just sat on his sofa, and we're like the sofa kind of backstage. So we walk in, we're like, oh, okay, he's not looked at us, he's not said anything. We thought, oh no, this is not going to be fun at all. So he literally looks at us. I think did he point at the sofa to say sit down?
Yeah.
Didn't say anything. We were kind of like, oh no. So we sit down beside him. We're like, how you doing? And he's just he's not looking at us. No eye contact. He's going, and he's just sat on his phone. We're like, oh no, this isn't good. I think he left it going a while. I think it was about 5 minutes later of just like blunt answers before we started the interview.
Yeah.
And then he just turns, gives us like a massive nudge. He's I'm only playing with this, that, and the other. We're like, oh God.
Your face, I always remember.
I've never been so scared in my first ever wrestling interview.
Was your first ever interview, and you had the question. I remember you were looking at me, you were going like that, and I was going. And then when he said it was cool, and he was like, oh, I'm just ribbing. I always do that to make people feel relaxed. I thought, relax. I said, we're fucking shaking.
I nearly had a heart attack. I was terrified. Growing up, the thing is as well, at that time, we wasn't used to speaking to or meeting wrestlers or anything. So it's kind of like in general, they're this big kind of like big superstar. We're like, oh my God. Like, and we kind of, it was like, oh my God, it's Rhino. Like, this is big. And then we're like, oh no, he's not speaking to us. He's not being very nice. And then about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes into it, he kind of was just, I'm only messing with you. And we were like, oh. My stomach sunk. I was like, oh, as he nudged us, he fell off the edge of the sofa.
Do you know the best thing about it all was I was kind of trying to say to you, look, interview's fun because I've done it like for years, and I was trying to get you into it. And then we go there, he does that, and then the guy filming it halfway through the interview fails to tell us that the camera stopped recording. And at the end, he goes, "Oh, about 5 minutes into it, it stopped recording." We're like, right. So how much did you get? 5
So
minutes.
he didn't tell us.
So you didn't think to kind of stop us and say it stopped filming, and then we could have sorted it out. So we only got out of it, and it was a really good interview. I remember me and you, we loved it, and we only got 5-6 minutes.
We won't disclose Owen's name either.
No, I thought it was Naomi, but yeah, it was Owen.
It was Owen, yeah.
Who has his own wrestling company now? Did you know?
Who does?
Owen.
Okay.
Dreams,
fantastic. Well, that's
something Dream State.
British wrestling as well. So hopefully we'll get to meet Eric and the two Ericks and Ryan in person as well. Hopefully when they come over and get to see them wrestle as well, that'd be nice. Meet them in person finally.
Well, they've spoke to me and you about it, and kind of they want us to find the best promotions, and I'm sure we can.
Yeah. Well, we've obviously we've given a few to avoid, so we've got the good ones on there as well.
You know what? I love it when we're cryptic. It's so funny. But do you know what? Genuinely, I was thinking the other day, I thought this is our third podcast. We've only done 3. Now, I've been looking at every person that starts podcasts and the guests that they've got. We've done this, and we've had both members of formerly the Ascension, now the Awakening. We've had Heath Slater, and we've had Darren Young, and now we've just had Erick Rowan / Redbeard.
But
that's insane.
Can I also add how nice they've all been as well? It's not like, I think a lot of people that meet the wrestlers, they meet them in airports at night time when you're feeling very tired, and they say, "Oh, I met today, he wasn't very nice." At the end of the day, they're very busy people. You're gonna be a bit tired. Someone say, "Yeah, have a quick photo," and then they're gonna go. They've not had much sleep. Every person that we've had on the podcast so far, you couldn't fault in any way, shape, or form. They've all been fantastic people.
Well, I'm gonna message Parmeter and say
you're late.
Unbelievable.
Do you have any other wrestling topics you'd like to discuss before Ryan comes on?
Only because you just brought, like we were speaking about, I want to, because me and you, like, although I annoy the shit out of you, we do everything together, wrestling-wise. And we've, in 5 years, been to so many events. I kind of want us to talk about the people we've met and what we thought of them. So I think that'll actually be quite interesting. I know the first event is, me and you didn't know each other, and we lived in a very small place. I didn't know anyone else who liked wrestling. I had tickets to the show, and me and you went in 2015 or 16 or whatever it was, and it was in Plymouth for Billy Gunn, Tajiri, Rockstar Spud.
Plymouth in the UK, for any Americans watching.
Yeah, it was in the UK, in a place called Plymouth. It was great. We met loads of stars.
Wow.
That was really bad, wasn't it?
Right, continue your story.
And then we met Billy Gunn, who you two just got on so well. There was an incident where you went in a ring with him, cocked up a little bit, but that's a memory for life. But you two
One
actually,
of my favourite wrestlers of all time, so I think I'm going to be a little bit hesitant and scared.
But you spoke to him for ages backstage. I remember, because he did a meet and greet and you met him there. But then afterwards, you were talking to him for a good. It was just you and him talking.
Well, the nicest thing was he called me over, sat me down, kind of thing. There's many pictures of me and him sat down having a bit of a laugh and a giggle together, which is just one of the best things I've kind of ever been involved in. But also, at that same event, I think it was, we met Rockstar Spud, didn't we? I'm not going to call him Drake Maverick because he's Rockstar Spud. It always will be to me. But he's by far one of the nicest people I've ever, I think, come across in general, let alone being a wrestler kind of thing. So hopefully one day, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get him on it and discuss this with him.
Tell everyone what he let you touch as well. Or you?
Oh, his bow tie.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the fans that be watching now will know about that, because a lot of our fans, I think, mostly are just WWE fans. So when he was wrestling at Impact, he used to wear a bow tie. He was kind of like EC3's, almost like lapdog, they used to say. But yeah, he used to wear like a bow tie, didn't he? And he took it off and put it there on me. So
I apologise.
Yeah,
that came out wrong. And then the best thing for me was when we met Tajiri, because he wouldn't talk. You were going over having a conversation. He's like, "Oh, I don't speak English," and you kind of said to him, "Well, you used to do segments on SmackDown talking English. I've seen you talk English," and you were having this kind of thing with him where you were saying, "I've seen you speak English," and he's going, "Oh no, no."
Yeah.
Moving forward,
any more topics about this week or in previous weeks you'd like to discuss that we've not discussed yet?
So I'm still liking AEW, and I wasn't a fan of the wrestling without an audience, because it just, for something about it for me doesn't feel right. And I think AEW is smashing it. I'm actually enjoying the products. The only thing, and we spoke about it before, is I'm disappointed with the amount of big talent they've had go over there, and they've debuted without an audience. I just think when you look at people like Brody and Matt, I think the reaction has been huge.
I completely agree, but at the same time, they need to move on with their business. They need to do the best thing possible for their ratings. At the same time, they need to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
And people, at the end of the day, people are going to get disinterested by what, like you said a second ago. Sometimes you feel like not watching like a wrestling product because there's no fans. But I think that's kind of what they've done clever, is that obviously NXT did it with Killer Cross as well. He had a debut, which was fantastic as well. But I think they've kind of, that's what they've done right. I think FTR would have had probably one of the biggest pops in the last 10 years, just like Edge at the Rumble. I think it would have been absolutely massive. But at the same time, they need to continue, they need to move on. And at the end of the day, they've been fantastic since they've been there. One really good match, one really good promo. It's fantastic. I can't really complain about it, to be fair. I completely agree with you. I think it's the best product out there to watch.
I mean, I know you don't watch Impact at the moment, but Impact seems to be improving. They're kind of getting this momentum going forward.
I'm keeping it. This is one thing that you've reminded me now that I wanted to bring up. So, saw a clip this morning. I don't watch it too often, but I pay attention to their Instagram. And they put a clip up, I think, last night. And Moose in the middle of the ring wins his match. And I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
But they start playing in the background EC3's music. So his old music, like Trouble. So that starts playing, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the music stops, and then they put Moose's music back on. So it's either, because obviously they're allowed to do what they want, they own the rights to the music, they can play mind games as much as they want. People can start watching and, oh, wow, this is amazing. So it's clever. But at the same time, if he goes there, that's massive. That is absolutely massive, because I think he's going to be one of the strongest people to come out of the release as well. If you watch all his, because it's so cryptic, and he's made sure that he's talked about daily, every single day, and he's done these videos and cryptic videos and all kind of really bizarre, and he's created this brand new character that's awesome. By the looks of things going to be massive. Like, he's been EC3 since we've known him, like Ethan Carter III. He's always been that. So for him now to change up the gimmick, it's like, wow, I can't wait to see. And it's the same with the formerly known as the Ascension, the Awakening. It's fantastic to see what they're going to do next, because in NXT they're phenomenal.
Well, you were saying about EC3. I've been emailing him, and there's a delay in our interview, which Impact, you can't do. If you're part of Impact or you're signing with them, you can't do interviews without going through their press team. Most other promotions you can. So it's probably a good indication that he's going over there. I would say.
Okay. But you've also got Gallows and Anderson soon, correct? On your personal challenge.
Have you been following them on Twitter? Everything they're saying is just leading to New Japan. It really is.
Unless something else comes out in the woodwork. I think, like I said, I speak for a lot of people. I think when I say I hope they go to AEW, because they've got the best tag team division in the world.
That's a tag team division you would never even, like, if you said a year ago there was going to be one company that had, and you listed the tag teams, you would literally be like, no, never going to happen.
Their tag team division is phenomenal, and I think personally they're going to end up with a 6-man tag team division. Everything's leading to them having 6-man tag team titles, because you've now got Hardy with Private Party, you've got Jurassic Express, you've got the Inner Circle, you've got the Elite. There's plenty of 6-man. It could be silly. It could be a silly thought, but that's what I think it's leading to.
Go on.
I think I think people like Gallows and Anderson, I think if they were to go there, obviously another team's going to kind of go down the pecking order, obviously. But I think if the formerly known as the Ascension are going to go there as well, which I would absolutely love, because, like I said, it's my favourite company. I'd pop for that quite hard. I think it'd be it's already the best tag team division in the world. It'd just become probably the best tag team division of all time, in my personal opinion. Everyone's got a different opinion, so.
What I like is with Matt Hardy at the moment with Private Party is it reminds me of the late Attitude Era with Michael Hayes and the Hardy Boys, where Michael was their mentor and used to do some stuff with them. And it just reminds me of that. And it's kind of nice to look full circle and see Matt Hardy 20 years later still going, but he's now in a position where he's kind of that mentor. And I looked at that, and it just reminded me of Michael Hayes and the Hardys. I love that. It was nice.
I never thought of that, if I'm honest with you, but yeah, it's a good observation for sure. I think because they're both very, very young lads, very young wrestlers as well. So I think he can lead them in the right direction, as with most other wrestlers. Like, you've got Sammy Guevara, you've got Jericho, that's going to be leading them in a certain direction. Plenty of wrestlers have got, like, they've got their experienced wrestlers as well. So Luchasaurus, I don't know if you know, but he's been wrestling for a while now, and he's tagging up with Jungle Boy. So they've all they've got their seniors looking onto them to making sure that they're gonna, I think, succeed and make sure they're going down the right path, kind of thing. I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's leading to a 6-man tag division.
When you look at people that have left WWE and then gone on to kind of reinvent themselves the best, I would say the two that stands out for me is Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. So I think the fact that they're kind of now mentoring people. Imagine how lucky Sammy Guevara is. I mean, he's gone into this company. He was great on the indies, but he has now been given a platform, and he's had someone with him saying, right, you need to do this, portray this kind of character, be a bit funny, be a bit quirky with it. And that's exactly what he's doing. And we've got to mention, when we talk about AEW, they have, without a doubt, the greatest heel in wrestling today, in the fact that they do it outside, the keep it kayfabe. Yeah.
Absolutely. He reminds me of old school Shawn Michaels and Diesel. That's what he reminds me of. And I can't for the life of me get that out of my head when I look at him. I think he's cocky, he's arrogant, but he can also back it up. And then you've got the quiet guy behind, which was Diesel, the big guy who had kind of deal with all of the problems he's got. So that's the only thing I can see, is just because I think he's gonna be massive, and he's, I think, 24. I might be wrong, but I think he's 24. So I think he just screams Shawn Michaels for me. But I think
I was going to say, because you like I've said on this podcast before, I'm a big wrestling fan, but not on the level that you are. And a lot of the guys when I watch AEW, I remember when we first watched it together. We always watch our shows together, and I'd be like, "Who's this? Who's that?" And you would tell me so much about them from the indies. And what I remember, one person you always spoke about was MJF, and you literally said, "Wait and see, he's going to be one of the biggest." And look, well, that was not even a year ago you said that, and now look, people call him the greatest heel.
Absolutely, I think. Yeah, I've watched him for a while now. I saw him at Creator Pro. I knew about him from there. He was also on this. My brother used to watch this YouTube. I can't remember what it's called now, but he was on this YouTube series before he was famous as well and wrestling properly. And he was just, you could tell he was just a different class above everybody else, kind of thing that he steps in the ring with normally. And that's why I say, like, I'm not sure if we spoke about this match yet, but I want to bring it up again if we have. Was Jungle Boy versus MJF at the last pay-per-view. Because that was just, for two young lads to put on a match like that, was just exceptional. You
said it was the best match of the whole night, didn't you, as well?
Oh, easily. Brody Lee versus Moxley was a very good match as well. But I just thought, old school wrestling, there was a few like suicide dives and this, that, and the other, but it was a fantastic match. Really, really good match.
So, Palmerton, he's got a lot of answering to do to us. This is so unlike him. Honestly, when he comes on, if he comes, he owes us an apology next week. But I don't want to give anything away for next week, because I know you're very good at keeping it as a surprise. But the other thing I want to say for our people that are watching next week, we have two names that I really think it's going to be. Yeah, two names. I think it's going to be one of the best podcasts we've done. And I say that on the basis of the stories they're going to have, the names that they are, and I think there's one that I've said to you before that I think you and him are just going to be so good.
And I think one of them, when people see him, it's going to speak for itself. I think at the end of the day, I think when you think of his name, so his. When you speak of his name, you think, wow, like just he's one of the big guys in wrestling. So.
And I was lucky to. I mean, that's going to be next week. We got that, and I put, because the one guy that I said that you're going to get on really well with, and when this other name came up, and I thought, do you know what? If we have them two on a podcast, because they work together, so they're going to have stories.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking forward to seeing you with, because I know this person, and hearing them talk, they have a lot of the same opinions as you.
Should we see if we can give it a bit of a hint or a clue, or give him a decade, or give him?
Yeah, you can give him a clue, but don't give it away. It's got to be a surprise, but give a clue.
I'd say for one of them, think 90s, all out 90s. well, probably late 90s. Attitude Era. We'll get that for one of them. And I think one, you should think early 2000s.
Definitely.
No. Big name.
Yeah, I can't give any. Yeah, I think you've hit one of them. Is you would definitely argue it is one of the greatest names of wrestling based on what they do away from wrestling as well.
You would put him up there in the category with there's many wrestlers you'd put up there, but I think you'd kind of fall into the same category in wrestling wise with how good they really were was William Regal.
Yes. Yeah,
I'd say very similar wrestlers, I'd say.
And the other one it is rare. I mean, you know that he just doesn't do these. If you look on YouTube, you will not see him, and it's going to be a good one. And I'm buzzing for it. I know you said about these podcasts are an hour long. I think next week having you and this guy together, I can see it being like an hour and 20. I really do. I think it's going to be. It's just, and I think when you have someone that organic.
What's the time we're pushing now? Because we're going to have a message with Ryan, I think. We
got 10 minutes to go, and if he's not in 10 minutes, I think. But then again, we had McKinley join us, so who cares?
We did. It like I said. I think it was. I think we should feel very fortunate. I think with the people we've had so far, and how down to earth and how fantastic they have been. Ryan being one. Ryan's probably one of the top ones. I think he's been so generous with his time. He's been fantastic replying to a message. He's part of the show and he's part of the furniture now.
Do you know, and this is not a lot, I talk to him every day, and we talk like for ages. And yesterday, I just bombarded him with gifs of himself that I found. I just kept sending all these, and he replied saying, "Dude, I've got a face for radio." That's literally what he said.
He's a really funny guy, and I think with a lot of people that have been watching, I think a lot of them have said how funny, how down to earth, how. Like my brother and my dad both called me and said, "I can't believe what he's like in person. Like that's not what I pictured on TV," and that's kind of what they want as well. They want to be seen as these real people. They are real people. They're not just a character. So I think for a lot of people to see his real side as well, and obviously he came out with his real side on your interview with him. So it's nice to see someone's real side. I think when they're talking to us.
I think when he came on the show with me, kind of I think it's good. 2 months ago, he didn't do interviews before, and he was very nervous. And I think the reason we kind of got on is because he was grateful because the style interviews when I do it on my own on the show, it's a completely different style. And like even me and you doing this, we had a comment on the podcast. People saying they like how different our podcast is because we don't get wrestlers. We don't have them on to shoot about stuff. We just talk about the week, and like you've seen it the last two shows.
Absolutely, we don't. At the end of the day, we're two wrestling fans that are really enjoying what we do, really enjoying hearing our own stories here, like from wrestlers. So we don't. There's it's nice to get an exclusive, but if it's like a good exclusive, we're not in for the bad publicity kind of thing. And if someone
have you heard him? A good exclusive, says the guy that on this very podcast chose the new name for the Ascension. I don't think you're going to get a bigger exclusive for that.
My point is, I think we don't want something bad to come of it. We don't want someone to say something they then regret, because I think for us personally, I speak for myself, and I'm sure I speak for you as well. I think if something like that was to happen, we'd probably cut it out. I think we would cut it out, because this is meant to be kind of like an escape for people. That's how I see it for myself as well. So we come on here, have a bit of a chat, speak about wrestling, get everybody's opinion, then we head off home. Like it's meant to be for fun. It's not nothing serious. Just have a chat with the wrestlers and not get them in trouble.
I think what makes it special with us is we have so many surprises. So we don't, in a week's advance, like we'll tell you the day before who's on, but in a week's advance, we won't be like, oh, so-and-so's on the show. And that's what I think makes it special for us, because we don't, and they share stories, they've all worked together and they share the stories. But I want to kind of, because we don't normally get the chance, I want to talk about you for a lot of people, because people won't realize you're actually training to be a wrestler. You've been on shows, you perform live, you've done segments in the ring with wrestlers like Rob Sharp, and I know he complimented you on your ability as well. So it's different for me. I'm never going to beat that. I was a manager, I was your manager, the mouthpiece. I'm not just saying it, I said it on a Q&A last week. It's surprised me, because when you used to say about you wanted to be a wrestler, I didn't know what to think. until I saw you train, and that's when I kind of was like, wow, it was the technique that you had that I think anyone who's watching, when they actually see you do what you do, is exceptional. You've got something that stands out, and I think that it'd be great when we keep doing these podcasts and you'll go and doing your training and you can talk about the shows that you've done. I think that's going to be really special.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to training again, getting back in the ring and kind of doing what I enjoy kind of doing the most kind of thing, and hopefully make my favourite ever wrestler proud. Carry the torch. Not that I need to. Plenty of people are doing it, but
if you do, we'll invite him on. We'll have Heidenreich on, and he can talk to you about.
I'd really like Heidenreich on the show at one point.
But do you know, it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but your hero is Eddie Guerrero, and he's someone that and I'm sure you won't mind me saying, but we've watched documentaries on him, and you'll literally physically be emotional and upset because he done so much for you in the sense of making you fall in love with wrestling and inspiring you to actually be a wrestler. So, would you say he's the greatest of all time, like literally of any wrestler?
There's a lot of wrestlers, a lot of wrestlers. I think, in my personal opinion, not everybody's gonna have the same opinion as we like. I like to say it all the time, but I think personally, I think there was nobody better that ever got in the ring. No, who like he got in the ring, he was a heel, but people still cheered him. He'd do things to get booed, but he'd still be getting cheered. He was just, everything about him was just fantastic. His in-ring ability alone at 5'9" at that time, with all these ginormous wrestlers, to kind of almost outshow them, he was something special, to be fair. Something very, very special.
Is he Angel Garza? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, he's a fantastic. I think he's second generation or third generation.
Well, a lot of people are calling him the new Eddie Guerrero. Vince McMahon says he reminds him of Eddie Guerrero. People
say it too much, and nobody's going to be the new Eddie Guerrero. I think they all want to be their own identity. They all want to be themselves. They said it about Sammy Guevara as well. He's not. He's Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara wants to be the first Sammy Guevara. Angel Garza wants to be the first Angel Garza. He wants to be remembered as Angel Garza, not, he reminds me of Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, it's a compliment for them, absolutely. But they don't. I can't imagine it's what they want to hear all the time. They want to be them. They want to be kind of contribute something special to wrestling for themselves. And as do I. I want people to be like, he's compliment me and say, he's wrestling like this particular wrestler, or this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's a compliment. But I want to be the first ever, like Davyd Batten kind of thing, or wrestling as whatever my name is going to be.
Just Dave.
I
mean, I've said it before. It was great to see what you do, because when we first become friends and I seen little Dave come up, I was like, what? And then I seen you in there. I was like,
5'9", can I add?
-8.
But 5'9", the same height as Eddie Guerrero. I'll take that.
You can be. I'm 6 foot, and I'm like a giant to you. You can be 5'9".
A giant compared to me. I'm 5'9". And you're fucking a giant over me. I'm a giant.
I'm about width. But I mean, it was great because when I seen you, I was
Yoka Luna.
Yeah, it was Lou Marga. Yeah,
Lou Marga, Yoka Luna. No, you're not really, but yeah.
Yeah, it was great to see what you do, and I think what I'm looking forward to with these podcasts is actually when you're back training and we can just have updates on what you're doing, because I think that's there's a lot of people who want this at the minute and want that dream. And I think to document it on these podcasts, what you're doing is kind of help other people who are a little bit, because I wouldn't want to do it. I would worry about my fitness, and if people think, look at that fat moob in the ring trying to.
I think for the, I'm not one to give advice kind of thing, because I'm not a professional wrestler yet. I'm trained to be a professional wrestler. But I think if you're to look at people, I think for the people that aren't as big, aren't as muscly, aren't as aren't seen as these massive people that say, how are you a wrestler? I think they need to go back. They need to look at people like Spike Dudley. They need to look at people like Rockstar Spud. Both massive stars. Like Rockstar Spud's biggest he's ever been. He was fantastic in Impact. Like he's done so much in his career, especially for British wrestling as well. Spike Dudley. You think of small wrestler, you think Spike Dudley instantly. Yeah, he used to put people over all the time, but that's what makes you a good wrestler. You put people over. A lot of the really, really good wrestlers are the people that are able to put somebody over. That's the point of being that good. You'll carry the match, you'll continue, and you'll then put them over, and you sometimes make the not so good wrestlers look good. And that's essentially what people like Rockstar Spud and Spike do. But at the same time, they are fantastic wrestlers. Really, really good wrestlers. And they're not ginormous people. I think, how tall's Rockstar Spud? Like 5'4". I don't know if I'm insulting him by saying that, but he's not very tall. And I was way taller than him back then, I think.
You're a little bit taller than him, so I'd say he's 5'5", 5'6". I'd say
I'm 5'9".
Yeah, so I'd say he's 5'5", 5'5", 5'6".
Yeah.
But that's it for today, just Dave. We've been, and do you know what? I'm being genuine. That's one of my favourite podcasts that we've done, because it was nice to have Eric on, but it was actually nice to just. We don't get to speak about opinions that much anymore. Why? Have I frozen on the screen?
You have frozen on the screen.
Oh, it's good.
Perfect time, Lewis.
That's horrendous. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on again. And next week, we're not going to give out the names, but I promise you, it's going to be one of the greatest podcasts that we've done.
The greatest podcast ever.
Yeah. do I look good? Do I look good to you right now or not?
You look really laggy.
You look so good to me on here.
Oh, thank you, man. Really appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much.
Hey? Well, you're frozen. I'll do the outro. Thank you so much, Lewis. We want to say thank you so much to Eric Redbeard as well. Ryan, we miss you. We'd like to see you on next week's, hopefully.
Yeah.
You've only broken our hearts a little bit, but yeah, another fantastic podcast, and on to another week. Thank you very much.